Have you tried many different tools for your anxiety only to find that none of them really works? And perhaps you even feel that your anxiety and depression is getting worse as you get older. Well, I know that feeling because that was exactly the way it was for me for many years, and in this video I'm going to talk about a few reasons why some people might not see any improvement. It wasn't until I fixed some of these things that I started to see drastic improvements in my own anxiety. And after having fixed them, many of the tools and tricks I try today really do work well for me. So stay with me until the end of the video because this is important. There are of course many possible reasons behind why a person might not experience any improvements. And what I'm going to talk about today might perhaps not be your problem at all, but it's something that really holds many people back, yet not many people know about it. I'm talking about something called supernormal stimuli. Now, what is a supernormal stimuli? A supernormal stimuli is something that is far more stimulating for our brain's reward system than our caveman ancestors could ever find in nature. A few examples are spending an excessive amount of time on social media, eating a lot of sugar and fat combined in one meal, drinking alcohol or using some other substances that temporarily lifts your mood, using internet pornography, especially tube sites with streaming functions, playing a lot of high stimulating computer games, particularly online gaming. Now these things all raise the dopamine levels in our brain, and there's nothing wrong with dopamine. It is normal for the brain to release dopamine every so often, but these activities all have the potential to keep the dopamine levels elevated for a longer time than our brain's reward system came equipped with being able to handle. This is why they are called supernormal stimuli. As I said, there is nothing wrong with dopamine, but the problem starts when we keep the levels too high for too long, because the brain starts protecting itself from the high levels by reducing some of its dopamine receptors. Now the dopamine receptors are what sucks up the dopamine and really makes us feel it. Well, now we are left with a fewer amount of dopamine receptors, which means that we feel less effects from the dopamine we get in normal life situations like socializing, watching a movie, eating a good meal, listening to music, and so on. To put it in a really short and simple way, using too much supernormal stimuli desensitizes us. We basically get a numbed pleasure center. Let's take a short example. Stay with me here. First, I have no moral issues with what I'm about to talk about, and I'm not religious. It is strictly about the neurobiological effects of using supernormal stimulus. Let's take the parallel between real sex and internet pornography as an example. Our caveman ancestors did not see thousands and thousands of naked women several times a week. When sex came about, his dopamine spiked as it should, and in a few minutes of engaging in the sexual activity, the dopamine began to drop back down again as it was supposed to do. Now, with internet pornography, we can achieve the exact same dopamine spike, and here too, just like with the caveman, the dopamine starts to decline after a little while. But now we have the option to click to a new video clip as soon as the first one starts to lose our interest. If we keep clicking from scene to scene, new and different categories and constantly new clips, we are able to keep our dopamine levels elevated far longer than our caveman ever could, and thus we are overriding our natural satiation mechanism. Again, dopamine is normal, but the supernormal stimuli makes us override that normal satiation mechanism. And if we keep doing this on a regular basis, we get a numbed pleasure center in our brain. And because of that, everything in life will seem less interesting to us. We have desensitized us. I think now you are starting to see how this might be related to depression, but how does it affect anxiety? Well, the whole dopamine system is highly involved with anxiety, and numerous of studies have shown connections between social anxiety, anxiety in general, and a disturbed dopamine system in our brains. Okay, I hope this has been informative, and I really recommend that you reduce the use of supernormal stimulus in your life, and I'm almost certain that you will start feeling better, especially if you are using them excessively right now. A moderate amount is okay as long as we don't overdo it, but just remember to be very careful with them. And also, when you start reducing them, you have to be patient before you start seeing improvements, because it takes a while for the dopamine receptors to grow back and for the brain to rebalance itself. We are talking about a few weeks here. Personally, I am very careful with using supernormal stimulus today, and I sometimes go for months and months on end without using any of them at all, and I really have to say that I feel so much better because of that. And if I do get anxiety today, the tools and tricks I have learned helps really well. And my favorite anxiety supplement completely eliminates the rest of it. Some of you know what supplement I'm talking about, but for the people who are new to my channel, you can read more about that supplement on my blog if you go to www.naturalhealthevolution.com/anxiety. There is a short post where I talk about how it works and where you can get it if you too would like to try it. You can also click the link under this video to find that blog post. Alright, that's it for today. I really hope this have been informative. Please consider subscribing, comment something, and like and share, and I'll see you in the next video.